Welcome to Lincoln Knows, and today's topic is one of our first episodes podcast that we're going to do on Santa Claus, one of my favorite topics. So today it is Lincoln Knows Santa, and this is another podcast episode where it's going to be just me and Erica and my notes and my things that I have around me. Our set keeps growing a little bit, and I love that. I love the eclecticness of all of the things around me. But today's topic I'm very excited to talk about is a recap of 2023's Christmas season. So I'm going to give you a little bit backstory how I got to Christmas of 2023. I have grown up in a family in our local community where people love Santa Claus. My dad was a Santa Claus in high school, and then also was a Santa Claus in, I think, 1979 to 81 or 80 to 82. He was a Santa at the Green Tree Mall because times were tight. He was in the real estate business. He had done Santa before, and they were going to pay him to do it. And he had 3 kids. He thought, you know what? I've got to buy him Christmas gifts. So I know my dad. He's no longer with us. But I know for sure that the ColecoVision that I got in 1982, the best Christmas gift ever, was a direct product of my dad playing Santa Claus. So in turn, really, if you think about it, he really was Santa. But he didn't enjoy it like I do because it was more task-driven for him. And for me and my Santa journey, it's less task-driven and more emotion and drive-driven. So when my dad was a Santa at the Green Tree Mall, I had a little Santa suit that I built and I took pictures of. I've got it on my website in my little red pants and white shirt and suspenders. I remember making my own little cotton beard, and I had a cotton beard on. And I just really always embraced being the one that got to help pass out the gifts, help with the Christmas shopping. All of that stuff was really important to me. And one of the toughest years, I learned a very valuable lesson in Christmas. It was probably 79 or 80. It was right after Star Wars had just come out. And then there were some other spin-off shows, Battlestar Galactica, some other things from the 70s. And my grandmother had told me all of the items that she got, and they'd help pick out for my brother. And in turn, I'm sure she told somebody else what they got for me. But I got out of her what she got my brother for Christmas. And on Christmas Eve, we were laying in bed, and I told him he was getting all these different figurines. I think it was Star Wars probably. Star Wars, you're going to get this. And he kept thinking, am I going to get C-3PO? Or, what am I going to get? And unfortunately, when he opened his Christmas gifts, he started crying because it was like actually a knockoff of Star Wars in the late 80s. My grandma thought it was the same. She thought, it was probably a tenth of the price. She thought he's probably not going to know. He's going to love it regardless. And it was a difficult Christmas for him. And that's when I learned I'm not telling somebody what they're getting for Christmas. No sirree, Bob. It's kind of funny now that I've become a Santa performer, that really rings true to me. So I do love keeping secrets of what people are getting each other for Christmas now. But so I have all these memories of Christmas and of being the one that was really a part of it. I loved passing out the gifts on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and at family events. And I always have loved doing that. Well, I see why now. On October 20th, 2021, we can mark it down as the day that I came out of Santa's closet. Literally, I'm telling you, that's what happened. Upstairs, I live in a really neat old 1875 built building, but it's all been redone. So my Santa stuff's all downstairs. I live upstairs, and I put my Santa hat on and these little fake glasses, and I looked in the mirror. My beard was really tight and really short then, and it hit me. And tears kind of welled up, and I'm a crier. Everybody that knows me will tell you I'd cry at the drop of a hat, but I'm a real emotional driven guy, and I got cold chills all the way down my body from the top of my spine all the way to my toes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really look like Santa. So I put on my little Santa suit that I got from Amazon for $99, and I wore it that whole first year. And you know what? It was perfect. It worked. It taught me that the suit does not make a Santa. Santa's heart is what makes a Santa. And if I could be Santa in a pair of rubber boots to go wading and fishing in or frog gigging, along with this little $99, $100 suit that I got from Amazon, it doesn't matter what my suit is. Because about 6 months before that, I started seeing kids in the grocery store, see them out shopping, they look at me, and I realized that I kind of had a little bit of the Santa spirit in me. And I looked a little bit like a Santa, more of a gnome than a Santa. And so over a few years, I've been able to develop that look that I really want to go with, not just at Christmas time, but throughout the year. I don't always wear Santa stuff, but a lot of times I do, probably more than not, for several reasons. One, it keeps people top of mind, and they know that I'm a professional Santa because I exude the professionalism element of Santa Claus. Two, it's a little bit of an identifier for kids. It helps ring in, oh my gosh, maybe he is Santa. I mean, they see me and they can tell. Everybody in my life that I hang out with will tell you, if we are out and my Santa spirit energy is on and I turn it on and I'm there in that room to read the room and be a part of it as a Santa performer, that the little kids just start magically appearing and they see me and their little faces light up. It's the most wonderful thing that has ever happened to me as a performer, as a local person, as a member of our community, to get welcomed non-verbally by a great big smile. And then adults look at me that same way too, because it takes them to a present moment in time from the past. So they reach back from a long time ago when they had a good, positive Santa memory, and it puts them in a good, positive feeling because I do kind of look like him and embellish the character of what our modern day Santa is supposed to be or is like. And that's pretty awesome for me. And you bounce back and forth from that memory of that time. So that's why it's always important for me. And then thinking about talking about this next year and what we did. So my season was awesome last year. It was my third professional season. I wore 2 new suits. This is one of them. I love it. Came from a company out of England. And I got a green one that was really popular this year that I wore a lot. My favorite color in life is orange. My favorite work professional color is red. And my favorite mixed color is probably green. I really love green a lot. And I like being a green Santa that wears green accessories or a green coat because people notice me. So like my green gloves, if you've seen me as Santa before, I wear these really sharp green gloves. Well, I wear those for 2 reasons. One, because I love them. They're a neat marketing piece. They have a real cool SC embroidered on them. And when I'm in pictures with people as Santa Claus, you will always see my hands. Always. And if you have a professional Santa Claus that you're working with, make sure you always see their hands. And make sure they always have gloves on. I don't care what color, just make sure they have gloves on. So, because we are touching children, I'm touching people's children, grandchildren, family. I want gloves. I want protection there. I don't want skin on skin. It's all about professional. It's about being respectful of people in their space. So you'll always see my green gloves. And now I've kind of developed this reputation of being a Santa that wears green gloves. And so it works for me from a marketing perspective, but it also works for me from a protection and liability perspective. So make sure you always check where those gloves are. So I've been able to tweak some things with my suits that I wear that I really enjoy. Last year, or the second year, I wore a big Santa belt. I don't have it here. I have about a dozen big Santa belt buckles. I really love it, but it's hard to move in, and I'm a real active Santa. So that was the thing that I was able to do last year even more than the year before, was I was very active. I work on my baby whispering skills. I'm really good at reading lips. I like to say that I can help shift the energy in a room. We had some really good experiences. We'll talk about that towards the end of this episode. But I really love that I can use accessories. I have a little bag that says Santa on it. So I replaced my belt with this over-the-shoulder bag that would keep my business cards, candy canes, all kinds of things that I needed to help me deliver the performance as Santa. And one of the things I did this year that I'm so excited about, and I did it right here in this building, right over in my big Santa chair, I had a little kid in who I had to get him in. I had to bring him in, and I couldn't get it. It's taken me 15, 20 seconds for them to zone in on me. They weren't upset. Sometimes it's a real overstimulating experience to be with a Santa Claus. And if you are with one like me, who is very emotionally driven, very cued in, I read the room, I read everybody, adults and kids, it takes a little bit for everybody to adjust. So I came up with this thing where I told littles that I have developed the ability to determine if you're on the nice list or the naughty list. And it's real simple. All I have to do is touch the tip of your nose, and if it makes this sound, boop, that means you're on the nice list. If it makes this sound, bonk, that means you're on the naughty list. And if it makes this sound, nothing, that means you're on the maybe list. And 99.9% of the time, all the littles, boop, are on the nice list. But sometimes to create rapport and engagement with adults or grandparents or other siblings that are Christmas 2.0, which is 11, 12 years up and older, you want to engage them so you can engage them in it and let them go first. And so the little that's sitting on my knee, not my lap, on my knee, or standing by me, whatever they choose, I am a huge consent culture type Santa. I believe in consent. I'm not going to hold your screaming, crying baby for you to get that picture because it makes you laugh. I'm not going to do it. I'm not that Santa. Go somewhere else to do that because I believe that that impacts their core memory system. And a lot of parents have said, well, they won't, remember. They're 2 years old. They'll never remember. I'm like, yes, they will. You've got a picture of this. You're going to remind them of this when they're older. You're going to show it at their graduation. You're going to show it at their wedding. You're going to spend your whole life talking about how funny that picture was. And the child didn't think it was funny, and neither did Santa. So I learned last year kind of how to chart through that course and flow through it. And it's not always easy because people don't care. They have set in their mind what they want picture-wise. And for me as a Santa, the photographer and myself are there to get the best picture we can with the little. And the little is really the one that's in control. And sometimes adults get in the middle of that, and that makes it tough. So that kind of leads me into my next thing. What I did last year, different than I had the years before. One of them was I spent a lot of time with different photographers and doing photography studio work with sessions for people before the Christmas season. Do those in October and November, so the pictures are ready for Christmas or Christmas cards, greeting cards, or give out as packages to parents, grandparents, siblings, aunts, uncles. And I got to tell you, I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with these photography sessions because it gave me between 5 and 10 minutes to get a visit in, to ask what they want for Christmas, to do the naughty or nice list test, or to build rapport with them and talk to them, or just be present with them. That was amazing for me. I'm going to expand our photography end of our business, especially being a younger and a more active Santa and physical active Santa. I can get on the floor. I can, get in the back of a truck, of a set. We can do all kinds of really fun stuff. So if that's something that somebody would like Santa photos with me this year, please make sure that you reach out to us and let us know. mylocalsanta.com. The other thing that I really got to do last year, and I didn't do much of it, I did 5 or 10 sessions of virtual calls. And I really did like that as well. So we're going to expand our virtual calls in 2024 here in our Santa studio in Charlestown. We're going to shift a little bit our visits in 24. Last year we worked for the town of Clarksville, the city of Jeffersonville, the city of Charlestown, the Louisville Zoo. We worked for the Louisville Bats. We did some really amazing events. And my favorite one I'm getting ready to tell you about was for the city of Jeffersonville. It was amazing. We did about 12 home visits, probably 40 corporate, city, town, whatever visits, another 20 or 30 regular visits or pop-in visits that I did. But my favorite one that I did was for the city of Jeffersonville, and it was for Light Up Jeff. And I was able to be a part of the Light Up program. In Charlestown, years before, the Santa is not at the light up. That's the mayor and their designated person that's going to light the switch and do all it, and the general public. The Santa is down at the family activity park. So the last 2 years, I wasn't able to see light up. So maybe I will this year. But but the next Saturday night was Light Up Jeff. So they put me on a float. I was the last one in this huge long parade. There were thousands of people there. And I did 2 hours of visits beforehand, did a lot of photos. It was really a wonderful experience. And so they took me in a golf cart and took me around to the last float down by Buckheads and Rockies. If you're from here, you know where that is, underneath the bridge. And they put me on the float, and they set me up there. I got all situated, and they go, okay, Santa, here you go. And they gave me a microphone. And I texted Lindsay and Rachel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they gave me a microphone. And they're like, are they sure they wanted to do that? So I got to thinking, what am I going to say? So as we get going, they go, okay, here we go, Santa. And so I did a mic test, and it was loud, so it was good. So we turned down Riverside Drive and turned down Spring Street. And the first grasp of people coming, and so here I give them on Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer, on Vixen, and on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner, on Blitzen, and Rudolph, and we're all saying the reindeer names. That worked for about a block. And then I ran out of what else to say. So I time traveled back to 1987, 1988, when I was a cheerleader at Jeff High, Go Big Red. And we did a float on Court Avenue for homecoming and for Steamboat Days, all kinds of that fall. Maybe it was the fall of 87. Yeah, fall of 87. And I was a cheerleader on a float, and we were going down the same street just about singing, Go Big Red, cheering, not singing, Go Big Red, JHS. So I'm like, here we go. So we hit the next block in Jeff. Now I'm in Santa character. I've said the reindeer names at least 47 times. So then I'm like, light up Jeff, light up Jeff. I have all these people. And I look over, and one of my favorite local families, the Schoonover family, Mike and his family were there. And I go, the Schoonover family, everybody's on the nice list. And everybody was cheering. And we got one more block to go, and I didn't want to say light up Jeff anymore. So we did flip that switch for the last block, and everybody's cheering with me. And I look out and I see all these people that I know. And I think to myself, you know, I'm the really luckiest Santa there is, because not only do I get to be here and perform and get all of this wonderful Christmas energy, but I know a lot of these people. I grew up with a lot of these people, played Little League football with some of them, coached some of them, sold some of them houses, their mom and dad's houses, estates, grandparents, have done so much work. Go-karts, miniature golf, and now all the food work that I'm doing. I see all these people, and they were there in front of me, and I thought, man, I got nothing but gratitude for this. So we went around, and we got out, and I got to go up to the gazebo, 5,000 people there, everybody screaming and cheering. And I start dancing and singing, and I get to flip the switch. So we do a countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I flip the switch, and all the lights come on, and the music's blaring. And I just get to dance and be with all of the locals in my big Santa suit, loving, I was in a suit actually, loving every single moment. That was my favorite thing that happened. You know the toughest thing that happened to me at Christmas this year, besides kids telling me that they want food for Christmas? The toughest thing was I had a little girl up here in Charlestown come up to me, and she was 9 or 10 years old. And I said, hello, how are you? And she looked sad. And I always notice that right away. And I go, oh, what is wrong? And she goes, my mom's sick, and I just want my mom to get better for Christmas. That's all I want. And I go, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I'm sure she will. Let's take a picture. And so I turned her around, and we posed for the camera, and about 10, 15 feet away was her mom with a bandana on, clearly through some type of chemo or leukemia or some type of chemo or radiation treatment. She had something. And I thought to myself at that moment, oh my gosh, to myself silently, her mom's not going to get better. There's a good chance her mom's not going to get better. What do I do? So luckily, thanks to a lot of people that donated to our Santa Among Us initiative, I had a $50 Meijer gift card in my Santa satchel, and I pulled it out, And I turned her around and I said, hey, I want to give you this. This is $50, and I want you to go to Meijer, and I want you to get your mama something and make it the best Christmas ever. And she said, okay, thanks, Santa, and had a big smile on her face. And I couldn't hold it back. I can't hold it back now thinking about it. It's a really amazing, emotional moment for me. And made me realize I am a professional Santa Claus. I'm there to recognize that. Thank goodness I thought beforehand to make sure that last year at Christmas I always had gift cards on me, because people do tell you stuff that you want to be able to help them out. And believe it or not, a 10 or 20 or 25 or $50 gift card can go a long way. So, while I had good, really great highs and really very difficult lows, I went into last season knowing a little more that was going to be the case. So, two things that I focused on that were really interesting to me from a Santa or from a Christmas standpoint was, one was I learned about demographics of boys and girls. Girls I don't have all the way down yet. I think I can fit them into 3 categories of art and creative, fantasy, dolls. Boys are a lot more definitive. Dinosaur boys, space boys, or rails and wheels. It's those 3 real categories that I spent a lot of time hearing about. Dinosaurs and monster trucks. Really, dinosaurs and monster trucks I heard a lot. I think we're going to hear more space stuff because NASA's doing all this work with going to the moon and Artemis, and that's being driven to these littles. So the space stuff, the girls, I will spend this year working on them. So the boys I'm focusing on this year on creating some really fun, creative, engaging products that fit into those categories and fit into the brand of who I am and what I do as Santa. But the one interesting observation that I had, and some people are sick of talking about her, but I love her, I think she's awesome, was there was one person that I always got asked for by these little girls of what they wanted for Christmas, and they said Taylor Swift. I'm like, well, do you mean Eras tour tickets, or do you mean sweatshirts? They go, nope, just Taylor Swift. That's what I want for Christmas. And that's interesting to me. It's brilliant on her end. Her brand is that strong. They don't care what it is. As long as it's Taylor Swift, they're down. I like it. So it motivated me to go on Etsy and buy, I'll wear it for one of my podcasts, a shirt that says Santa is a Swiftie. So rock on for Miss Taylor Swift. I love that. All right, so the other thing that we got to do last year that was really amazing was our Santa Among Us initiative. We gave 142 baskets. We gave over $5,000 worth of gift cards separately away. We really hit the ground running into the Christmas season with our Thanksgiving basket initiative, and I fully intend on doing some type of work like that again this year. I like being known as a Santa that helps feed people, because when you have somebody as Santa tell you that they are hungry, you got to do something about it. You know that whole, the suit doesn't make you a Santa. It's what you do makes you a Santa. The size of your heart's what makes you a Santa. That's very important to me. So this year coming up, I'm very excited. I've got a couple trips coming up where I'm going to go learn and extend my professional career as a Santa Claus and as a performer. I'm going to Burlington, Vermont at the beginning of March for a class with a podcaster that I really like and a designer beard Santa named Matt Spalding, a young guy. This guy knows Christmas, he knows Santa, he knows history, and he's put a group together to come to hear a performing Santa Claus named Santa True perform for 2 days. So I'm very excited about the performance element of Santa. That will go a long way in my training towards photography sessions and the virtual calls. And then I think I'll be able to make it down to Memphis for the International Brotherhood of Real Bearded Santas show with a bunch of my Santa friends. There'll be about 750 Santas, Mrs. Clauses, and performers there. And that's always fun to go see and hear what everybody's doing, what type of new technology for virtual, what type of suits, what type of photography. Photography is a big part of the Santa world and the Santa community. I learned that last year. You're going to really see a lot more of that out of us in 2024. I am sure of that. We hope to kind of expand as the season, probably closer to Christmas in July. we'll have lots of Christmas and July stuff that we're doing. And then we'll take August and September off and then hit the ground running in October and November with sessions. And then our Santa studio here for visits the end of November and then all of December. So, woo, that's a lot. I do have a Santa George Smithers that I'm going to have on here. He is a member of the Santas of Color Coalition that I'm a proud member of, that is predominantly all Black Santas across the country. And we also are going to try to spend a little more time with Santa Sam, Sam was a Santa with us last year. And Sam's an amazing person that works with Rachel. And Sam was born with Down syndrome. And he's the most loving, gentle person I've ever met in my life. So seeing him in a Santa suit last year was fun, and hopefully we'll be able to get him back again this year. I'm a big proponent of Santas for everyone. And a lot of times little kids, it's okay for them to want to look up and see a Santa that looks just like them, not one that was created by some commercial manufacturer 100 years ago. So it's important for little kids to make that part of their journey. And a lot of people take it very serious. I take being a professional Santa Claus very serious. But I got to tell you, I also take serious that it is a business and it's professionalism. And we're not really Santa. Some gentlemen like to tend to believe they think that they really are Santa. And that kind of reality gets kind of thrown in and it makes it a little difficult. So that's why it's important to get educated. That's why it's important to go to Santa school. That's why it's important to wear professional suits. Take care of your suits. Take care of your image. Take care of your beard if it's a real one. Have that image all year long when you're in the grocery store, when you see people or you talk to people. That's important. Oh, I know something that was an amazing experience. I had a little boy. I did an event right here on the square. I'm going to leave you on this story. Right over here on the square at Rye Built Homes with the Paxton Group. And they had a woman that they work with who's a realtor and a mom in North Vernon in a market where they build homes. And she brought her son with them to come down and see me in their office studio. It was towards the end of the season. I was tired. I had a cortisone shot put in my knee at the beginning of the season, and it still hadn't taken off. I was really tired. I was as tired that night as I've been. And that little guy and I connected. And when he first came in, he was very shy. He is on the spectrum, and he is fairly nonverbal. And it took a little bit of time, and it took some energy for both him and I, and some trust and rapport, and a whole lot of quiet from the adults. Because what happens when you're Santa with a kid, whether they're on the spectrum or not, noise from other people impact the volume that Santa has with the little. So we want to keep the adult noise down. It also impacts the energy that's in the room. So shh. And this little guy, after about 20 minutes, I'm sitting on the floor. He's sitting right by me. We're playing with this little monster truck. We get up, we go. He feeds me a cookie. He brings me a cookie. That's what got him, was he brought me a cookie, and I got a bite of his cookie. And the next thing you know, at the end of the visit, I've got him, holding him, putting an ornament on the tree. It just rocked all over our world. And they left, and I realized I wasn't that tired. And I've got all the energy in the world to be Santa Claus. And I want to be your Santa. And I want to thank you for watching my episode today and hearing me talk about the inside part of what it's like to be a Santa. So make sure you subscribe, like, share, all of those things. Thanks for listening.